We talked a little bit about where do I get some of this information, particularly about who do I like to work with, who do I not like to work with, what do the folks that I like to work with have in common, what do the folks that I hate working with have in common. One of the best sources for this is just data mining your own client list. It doesn't take very long to, if you're running your own practice, to get a client list that is sufficiently long to start really defining who these people are and what they do have in common. So again, that's something that's very easy. If you need help with some of that stuff and you're curious about trying to flesh out perhaps some of these greater issues, some of the more advanced demographic or psychographic things, you can actually find some information. There's a website called Who's Mailing What, I think is the name of the site. And you can actually look and it will have a list of different folks who are sending different messages to different groups and some of the things that they have in common. It's not specifically designed for helping lawyers develop avatar clients, but it has a lot of information where if you're stuck and you're not sure how to bring some life to somebody, this can give you some guidance on doing that. Your avatars can, should, and will change over time. As you learn more about who you're attracting, who you're repelling, all of those kinds of things, this is something that does need to evolve. So it's my recommendation that you review this stuff at least once a year. This comes to mind for me because I'm getting ready to go with some of my marketing partners and go and take a look at my avatars next week and look and seeing what's working, what's not working, and what we need to do to adjust those sorts of things. Okay. How many avatars should you have in a practice or in a practice area for folks who have multiple practice areas? Generally, 3 to 5 is the answer. If you have a general practice where you're primarily the attorney, or maybe have one associate, you probably want to limit that probably to about 5. Just because if you try to create 3 to 5 for every single practice area that you have, it becomes cumbersome, unwieldy, and very difficult to create some of those messages that are going to be resonating with the folks that you really want to be doing work with. So that is pretty much what I've got in terms of information. I think we do have a little bit of time. We've got about 10 or 15 minutes, so I went by a little faster than I anticipated. Does anybody have any questions about any of this? Yes?
I have a question. You don't necessarily, do you have any tips for, if you don't necessarily have a problem with the phone ringing, but translating leads into actual clients, other than pulling your keys, of course.
Sure. The question is whether or not I have any suggestions for somebody who's not necessarily having trouble making the phone ring, but perhaps is having issues converting those clients. So you mentioned cutting your fees, which is the last thing in the world that I would recommend. Cutting your fees is a very, very difficult way to create a sustainable business. It's basically trying to be the first to the bottom. So I don't recommend cutting fees to get clients. If you're getting folks where that's an issue, then what you need to do is look at the message that you're sending out, because you're probably not attracting the folks that you're looking to work with. But in terms of converting people, everything starts with the answer of the phone. So having somebody who's really well trained to answer the phone and go through and have scripts. One of the things that attorneys always hate this, and people throw tomatoes and stuff when I say this, but you're in the sales job. When somebody comes to you, whether you know it or not, your job is to sell your legal services to them. And I'm personally of the philosophy that you have an obligation to do that because, I think when somebody comes to me with specific problems that I handle, I honestly believe that I'm going to do a great job for those persons. So I believe I have an ethical responsibility to help that person understand why it is they should work with me and let me help them with stuff. But it all starts with the answering of the phone and having designated scripts that you've put together to go through. So that way everybody who calls gets the same initial message that's coming through. Developing scripts is something that, again, needs to evolve over time. So, you write out your first script and you may find, okay, that's not getting the results I want. Let me change this, tweak that. You can do all sorts of things like split testing, those sorts of things.